It's these tiny changes that slowly build up over time, and each change, the next change is a little bit more and a little bit more. And 6, 12 months later, 2 years, 5 years later, you look back at your past self and you don't even recognize them. And I think that's far more common. And that's why that's what I fell in love with when it comes to video games. It's this idea that you start out this weak, scrawny, completely naive person who has no idea how the world or even the game mechanics work. And you're initially tasked with like, hey, here's a wooden sword. Go clear the sewers with, kill the rats in the sewers. And you go in the sewer and you with your wooden sword, and you kill 5 rats, and it takes you an hour and a half, and you're like, wow. And then you come out and they're like, that's great. Congratulations, you're now level 2. Here is a rusty metal sword. We need you to go kill the spiders in this cave. And you're like, okay, I'm going to go do that. And you go kill go kill the spiders in the cave. And this repeats itself in a very satisfying loop for 10, 20, 30, 50, 500 hours until by the end of the game, you're like slaying dragons and your character is riding a flaming horse and your armor is like, mirrored, and you can levitate. You can do all this cool stuff. But like, you didn't just jump to that, right? You start slaying rats in the sewer with a wooden sword. So we have this alternate version of ourselves. We have the favorite characters in games that we love, or the favorite movies that we love. So I think it helps maybe if you've identified the person you want to become, how can you break that into the smallest number of chunks possible, looking backwards, or working your way backwards from like this epic, like I said, flame horse riding badass. Looking backwards, like, okay, what's the next step? What's the equivalent for you of, killing rats in the sewer? Let's say you want to run a marathon. That first step is probably like putting on whatever pair of shoes you have. It doesn't mean going out and buying the nicest running shoes. It doesn't mean going for a run. It means putting on a pair of shoes, walking to your mailbox or walking to the street corner, and deciding like that's enough for today. And come back tomorrow and walk 2 steps further. And like, that's it. As long as you are doing something slightly more or slightly further or slightly more challenging, picking up a weight that's slightly heavier than last time, like, that's where change happens. It's not in the grandiose declarations of change. It is in the consistently making progress parts of your life that true change, permanent change is going to happen. So it's identifying like the smallest changes that you can make, and then finding a way to be adherent and consistent with those changes over weeks and months. And as you build this routine or build this habit of making smaller changes, you can identify, or you can say like, all right, every day I go for a walk, I get 5 experience points. And every time I get 100 experience points, I level up. So that means every 20 days of going for a small, short walk, you level up. And then it's okay. Once I reach level 5, I'm going to buy a new pair of running shoes. And that thing will be the thing that I'm looking forward to in the future, just like leveling up in a game, and you get better weapons that inspire you to want to go fight bigger things and go explore further locations. It's simply just adding some fun kind of gamification elements to it, so that it gets easier and easier for you to do the right thing or do the thing that you're interested in doing. And for this instance, it's, like, I want to go for a walk every day. Like, let's find a way to make that fun and gamify it a bit,